Hey everyone, before we get on into this video, there is a new Jets community over on X, or Twitter as I still call it. If you want to engage in Winnipeg Jets conversation with myself, other creators on the platform, and just other fans, this is the place for you. Want a live reaction of anything, this is the place to go. So definitely go check it out, consider joining. It's free, and yeah, let's get on into the video. Welcome back everybody to another video. Today we are going to be talking about some more 2C targets that I think the Winnipeg Jets could look at. They desperately need a second line center going into the playoffs. Vladimir Mesnikov, yes, he's filling the role fine, but the Jets do need to upgrade if they truly want to compete with other teams like Colorado, like Dallas, like the Wild. They need a better second line center. I made a video about this maybe, a month and a half ago-ish, somewhere in there, and, a lot of other guys have come to light now, some other teams, probably being sellers, so I have had some other ideas, so we're going to be talking about a few of those guys today, but without further ado, let's talk about candidate number one. Candidate number one is going to be Ryan O'Reilly, currently 33 years old, but having a pretty good season with the Nashville Predators. 38 games played, 25 points. We kind of know about Ryan O'Reilly a bit. He's been playing in the Jets division for a long time now, obviously a Colorado Avalanche player, a St. Louis Blues player, and now a Nashville Predator. So, we've seen a lot of this guy here in the Central. We know what he's about if you've been watching for a little while now. Defensive-minded forward, can go to the net, can make stuff happen. He can chip in points, as we see here, 25 points in 38 games. Not bad if you're playing on the second line. Of course, over there in Nashville, Steven Stamkos is the number one center, Ryan O'Reilly the 2C. But a very defensively responsible 5-on-5 impact player. You really can't outline the Jets' problems more than that. This is exactly the kind of player that they need. Not only is he a perfect fit, on the ice, he's a perfect fit with his contract as well. It really fits the Jets' window pretty nicely. Year 2 currently of 4, so he'll have 2 more seasons after this year. Wouldn't it be nice if the Jets next year didn't have to try to trade for a number 2 centerman? I feel like every single year they have to try to do this, but even in the future, if O'Reilly, starts to fall off, he's going to be 34 in February. If his game does take a step back, he's more than capable of playing bottom 6 minutes, right? Like, this would be the ad of all ads, in my opinion. The cap hit isn't too high. The cap is supposed to go up a ton this offseason, and, going into the future too. This is a move that I would really hope the Jets, consider. If he is available, I would assume that Nashville wouldn't be protecting him at all costs, that kind of thing. I do think that it would cost, a first-round pick, plus there, but I think adding a Ryan O'Reilly is more than worth it, and a guy that really brings a lot of not only impact to your team, but just a lot of experience, leadership, blah, blah, blah. I think he would be a great pickup. And last thing that I want to say about him is he's a great face-off guy. He's a guy that could play really well on the penalty kill, something that the Jets have not excelled in this season. A good penalty-killing centerman that can chip in points you can have for a couple more years at a good price and, fill in 5-on-5. This is your guy. Now, moving on to candidate number 2, I've already talked about him in a video prior, but Brock Nelson, a rental centerman from the New York Islanders, he would be a lot of fun to add to this Winnipeg Jets team. 41 games played this season, so half a season he's got 23 points. That's not, super eye-popping, eye-catching, whatever, but I do think if you put Brock with players like Cole Perfetti or a Nikolai Ehlers, I think his game takes a step forward big time, because Brock really doesn't have a lot of friends or a lot of help over there in New York. I know Matt Barzal is over there, but they do not play on the same line, and I just feel like Nelson would really benefit from playing on a team with players that, belong in the top 6 that, can actually chip in, aside from a guy like Kyle Palmieri. I think Nick Ehlers is a big upgrade over him, Cole Perfetti as well. The thing that I like about Nelson is that, one, he is just a rental, so his price would probably be a little bit lower than if he had term. However, I don't think you're getting him without giving up at least a first-round pick and probably, a mid-level prospect. I think that's the baseline, and there will be a bidding war for Brock Nelson. I'm sure teams have already called about him. He is going to be a hot commodity. He's in the Four Nations face-off this year. You know, his stock is boosted. He's got a resume. It's going to be expensive. I don't know if the Jets are going to land a Brock Nelson. I do wonder, you know, if they're more likely to go after a guy like Ryan O'Reilly. Maybe that all teams aren't kind of, you know, pressed on because he's not a rental. So, you know, rentals, they go for, you know, quite a bit at the trade deadline. They're really sought after. There could be a bidding war. But if the Jets are able to land Brock Nelson for a good price, I would really like to see him in a Jets jersey. Now, the last guy that I'm going to be talking about today, maybe not on the radar, maybe a smaller pickup, but it is Barrett Hayton from the Utah Hockey Club. Barrett is about, 10 years younger than some of these guys. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. He's got 7 goals, 10 assists playing this year with Utah in 40 games, but he is a very decent player. He is a guy that I would say is comparable to a Vlad Nemesnikov, and, I know the Jets need to upgrade over Vlad, but being 24 years old, playing in a position where he'd be getting probably the most ice time of his career, playing with players like Ehlers, Perfetti, or other guys in the top 6, I think Barrett could definitely benefit from that. I'm not saying that he's like the fix or anything like that, but if the Jets, focus their assets elsewhere on a defenseman or something like that, and they say, oh, we don't really have a lot that we feel comfortable giving up at the moment to add for number 2 centerman, I think Hayton would fill in fine. I think that'd be a great guy to plug into your second line. With those 2 guys, you could put Nemesnikov on the 4th line with Iafallo and Barron, we'll say for now, and you can ride with that. I think that, just adds more depth to your forward core. Having Nemesnikov on the 4th line goes a long way, in my opinion, and I don't think that Hayton would, again, be a bad fit on that line. Again, 24 years old, we'll talk about his contract in just a second, but this was a guy that was the 5th overall pick in 2018. He's got a lot of potential, he's very talented, never really played with top players before in his career. Now might be the time for him. Barrett signed a 2-year bridge deal at the end of last season, so $2.65 million this year and next year for him. That's very affordable. The Jets could have a guy that could theoretically be their 2C going into next season. They theoretically wouldn't have to be actively searching for one next year, giving up more assets for another second line centerman. And I don't know, I really kind of like this because if he's an RFA next season, the Jets don't like him, they can flip him. Or, worst case, they just don't re-sign him at the end of the day, right? So, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of options here with Hayton, but there's not really one that screams, failure or anything like that to me. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. He ends up being good depth for the Jets. He could play on the 4th line, and then I think, again, you have really solid depth up and down. Maybe not ideal to have Nemesnikov on the 2nd line, but having that solid of a bottom 6 would help out the top 6, right? So, that's just my, in case kind of trade. If the Jets make a big move on defense and don't have a lot of assets they feel comfortable moving to go out and get a centerman, I think he'd be a really nice cheaper add and one that could, maybe help them in the future as well. But that's really all I got today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. What did you guys think about this video? Did you like any of the trade candidates that I threw up? Do you have some trade candidates or some, guys that you think would be really good fits on the Jets? I'd love to hear about that below, so definitely let me know. But with that, guys, I'm out of here. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.